let's talk about the one of the characters and where they may have gone. So by the end, well, actually, let's preface that, or we can kind of combine it, I guess. But like, look, Hulk makes his escape in the end because he smashed up that city with the Hulkbuster fight, and I can't be with you, Black Widow. By the way, I totally didn't buy that whole subplot, that romance.
Really? Okay.
I didn't like it. It didn't feel earned to me. It felt very manufactured. I just never bought her really digging this guy in that way.
Why?
I just didn't. I just thought
you just didn't think they had chemistry?
I think she would have looked at him like one of her friend's little brothers. You know what I mean? Like
Banner,
I think to me, she just never struck me. I never bought the whole idea of, like, I know she has her monster speech, but I just didn't buy it.
I posit this.
Posit.
Okay.
Posit away.
I posit that he actually represents, quite literally, the good boy and the bad boy wrapped in one. I posit that Black Widow has had her fair share of bad boys in her life in the human form, and that there's something about his sweetness, about Banner's sweetness, that she finds very attractive, but at the same time, she knows that bubbling beneath that is the danger that he could Hulk out at any given time and rip her to shreds, and that's hot. I posit that. So I do buy it.
So it's the Catherine Trammell basic instinct attraction of, like, she's hot, but she could kill me.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now you've given me something to think about.
Let's watch it again and see that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're talking about if we buy the romance or just the Hulk in general?
Real quick, do you buy the romance? And then I want to ask you guys, where do we think he went in the end? And you've got a theory, but Joshua, real quick, what do you think of the romantic subplot?
I thought it was like okay. I didn't feel a lot of like the chemistry to it. But on the other hand, I did appreciate when she pointed out that of all these like egomaniacs and the good old American boys and the rest of them, he's just this thoughtful like scientist who does have the Hulk underneath.
Yeah.
So it obviously is, and he didn't want to be a problem for her, and obviously he can destroy a city if gone unchecked. So that is a lot to put on a person and try and make a romance out of that. Because as they pointed out, they will never have a life like Hawkeye, who's like the sort of the go-to like human of the Avengers.
No little Hulk
we talked
babies.
about. But as far as where his Hulk goes in
That'd
the
be
end,
a rough pregnancy.
that's the question, isn't it? And I love that they did that. That they it's the Bill Bixby. Walking to the music, just trying to find his way by himself. Like, that is the Hulk. The Hulk isn't a guy who can be on a team for a long time. So that was really cool. And are you doing the music?
Yeah, I'm just playing in the background as you keep talking.
As I hitchhike. But so it's like, where does he go next? Didn't they say he ditched his Quinjet? Like,
well, they weren't entirely sure.
Yeah.
Like, it went down.
They said it's hard to track his craft, but it looked like it went down in the ocean.
They think, but there's a question mark.
Yeah. So obviously, I feel like a comic book fan wants to see him go is into space.
Yeah.
And see Planet Hulk story, where he goes to another planet. And he does pretty much the Gladiator movie where he goes from like a slave to a gladiator to a king. Although in the Gladiator movie he dies. Spoiler. But yeah, then he comes back to Earth and actually wages war on the Earth in World War Hulk. But I don't see that happening because in the comic book they forcibly jettisoned him to space. But this would be his idea. But I don't know where he could go. I don't see him thinking, I will go into space, because he has no reason to go into space as far as they've set up.
But you have a theory about it.
But he is for sure as heck going to space.
You think so?
Yes, and I'll tell you why I think so. Because news came out in the last week or so. If you read IGN, you might have followed some of this.
I don't know. I've never heard of that site.
But so this is the thing. So we saw him like shooting up, and to me, and I know that I love this movie, so it would naturally have this moment. It felt so much to me like this moment in The Right Stuff, where I was going there, where Chuck Yeager goes up and he breaks into the outer atmosphere, the inner atmosphere, and he like for a minute sort of sees space, and then the plane comes down. Whatever. The point is, like, the plane, it was going up and up and up and up, right? And I was like, he's going to space.
What would he do?
How would he get to space? What would he do in space?
Well, how is he going to breathe?
Exactly. So that's probably not how that happened. But I do think he's still going to space. And this is why. Because when I interviewed Mark, and we talked about this a little bit before, but when I interviewed Mark Ruffalo, and it was just like, where could the Hulk go next? And Scarlett Johansson and he was like, well, there's lots of places he could go. Scarlett Johansson said, I know I talked about this before, but bear with me.
Oh, yeah.
Scarlett Johansson said, like where? And I was like, in space. And he goes, oh yeah, he's definitely going to space. And I was like, really?
Maybe he meant for Infinity War, though.
He goes, he's definitely going to space. And I was like, really? And then he goes, yeah, I mean, there's been talk of Planet Hulk. And then it came out later on that the rights actually for a solo Hulk movie, so the distribution rights for a solo Hulk movie are with Universal. So Disney doesn't have those distribution rights, though Marvel owns the character of the Hulk.
And
so
why give Universal any more money?
why would they give Universal money? So they're probably not going to do a solo Hulk movie at all, whether it's in space or not, because until those rights issues are worked out. However, Chris Carl and I postulate that the way you do this, and I don't know how he actually gets there, like he's not going to fly that, like he didn't fly into space right there unless somebody,
been UFO
unless
napped.
unless like Yondu came and picked him up or something, which who knows. But we postulate that Planet Hulk elements will play a role in Infinity War. And so it's not like you get a solo movie, but that you see elements of it, and he's not going to be here for Civil War.
Joshua, didn't you
I
say
could
that
see-
in the comics that there's a reason why Hulk wasn't around in Civil War?
Because he was jettisoned off
in
the Earth in
space.
space. So here's riding off what you just said. If they do take him to
Ride
space,
my
which it
wave.
sounds like from what you said, they're probably going to. I would say, and how do you take the Hulk off the map? If you're like Thanos and you're like, well, Hulk is very, even though I'm all powerful Thanos, I still have to deal with the Hulk. Why don't I jettison him off to a planet? So I can see him being captured,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's a
taken
good-
off the board.
Ooh, I like it.
But they don't. He's like, I'm going to put him on this hostile alien
Yeah.
planet. He won't stand a chance. He goes there, crashes. Over the course of the movie, maybe sort of in the background, he again becomes a slave,
Yeah.
and you think he's going to die. Then he rises up, takes control of the planet, gets his the Hulk's warbound, and launches into space. Shows up much like the helicarrier did. He's the Deus Ex Machina of the movie with an army to help fight Thanos.
Oh, I like it.
IGN fanfic, rocking
Done.
it again.
It's
happened.
happening.
It could happen.
Yeah.
I have one quick thing that bums me out about, and it leads back to your point about the rights issues, which is Universal also has Namor the Submariner. So if the thing crashed in the ocean, maybe Submariner found him, and maybe they do a version of Planet Hulk, but it's in Atlantis or whatever.
Ooh.
Probably not going to happen because of the complicated rights issues. So wah wah.
Wah, wah.
But I'm sorry, you had you had an additional point you wanted to.
No, and I've made this point before too, is like not only is the Hulk not in Civil War in the comics, but like to me the Hulk can't be a part of that equation because whatever side he's on wins. Like,
It's bad enough with Thor.
well, and Thor can't either. Like, it has to be sort of an even
Right.
divide.
Right.
Otherwise, like if you have the Hulk, you're like, guess who wins?
Yeah.
This guy.
Well,
Yeah.
we want to know where or what you guys would like to see happen with Hulk now that he's basically back on the run. He's separated from the team, no longer an Avenger until, of course, Infinity War comes along. So let us know in the comments what you think, where the Hulk went.
Where'd he go?
Where'd that Hulk go? I want to find out.